I just figure instead of the preview music, we could play a game of Lie Swatter before it starts.
It's time for another game of Lie Swatter.
Apparently we're starting now.
7 crazy facts pulled from
I
the
think
following
you can
fact
join
categories.
anytime, I think.
Miley Cyrus sponsors a charity that gives money to the Amish.
Just fun.
Students at Brigham Young University need a doctor's note to grow a beard.
Sadly, a doctor's note wouldn't help me grow a beard. I need a note from a deity, apparently, because it just doesn't grow.
Barcelona has the most rollerbladers per capita of any city in the world. Snoop Dogg owns 35 cats.
Does anybody really own cats? And Shane, yeah, I'm guessing on these two. Like, I have no idea for most of them.
Three-toed sloths only have one toe. A man in Greece had his head surgically removed and survived for 2 weeks. The American Civil War's first casualty was during a 100-gun salute.
I gotta think the first casualty was probably like foot rot or something. Huh? I was wrong.
And here's where everyone stands at the end of round 1. Here are your next 7 fact categories. Michael Jackson patented shoes that let the wearer appear to defy gravity.
The moonwalk is pretty amazing. But I think that was just a dance move, not shoes. How? I mean, I thought they were just dress shoes, but apparently
Iceland's
I was
dollar
wrong.
coin depicts two women having sex. Time moves more slowly at the North Pole.
I mean, relative to what? That's really the question. Oh no, and it wouldn't be. It would be fast. It's got to be a lie. Yeah, it's got to be a lie. I was thinking, yeah, going faster.
An astronaut smuggled a corned beef sandwich into space. Fans of The Doors sprinkle sand from Death Valley on Jim Morrison's grave on his birthday. Vera Wang created a fashion line inspired by LARPing capes. Gone with the Wind was the first movie converted to VHS.
Oh,
Here are your scores.
ooh, took the lead.
For the final round, all the facts will be about one category. That category is fashion designers.
Oh yeah, I'm
Some
gonna
of
be
these
good at
fashion
this one.
designer facts are true, and some are lies. Jason Alexander opened a handbag store in Toronto.
I think Jason Alexander. I think he's the guy from Seinfeld.
Johnny Knoxville designed a line of men's thongs.
George Costanza was Jason Alexander, I believe. Oh, sorry, Northern Chimp. No, it's UVBV,
Carlos
the one on the
Santana sells a
screen.
line of high heels.
The cheese thing was just me being silly. The code's up there.
Sissy Spacek has her own line of toe rings. John Goodman sells a line of male girdles.
I like the background music.
Glenn Beck created a line of blue jeans.
Oof. See, Andy, I was thinking that on the North Pole you'd be moving
Helena
slower, but
Bonham
it's
Carter
all
runs a service that
relative to
converts her
what?
pants into pantaloons.
I don't know who that is, and I don't know what pantaloons are. So Hey! Nice job, Shane.
Let's see the final scores.
All right. I don't know how to stop this.
It's time for another game of Lie Swatter.
No.
You're going to...
Yeah. How do I... You don't want to exit. Bum, 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 bum. All right. That's done. I gotta get my mouse back. Mouse back, mouse back. Where did OBS go? Oh, there we go. Hey, everyone. Thanks for playing. That was fun. You win the cheese. That apparently I was misguided there. I apologize for that. So Andy, yeah, so I was thinking speed wise, because the faster you go, the slower time goes. So I was like, oh, so if you're on the pole, then it would go slower, but then no, or faster, but then it has to be relative to what, right? I mean, yeah, so I don't know. I think I probably put too much thought into it. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, everyone. I hope everyone's week is going well. You see, we have 8 people or so here. Oh, hold on. Let me shut off the tracking. That drives me nuts when it seeks me out. It has rained all weekend. It stopped raining today, which means my front lawn is knee deep, and I have to mow it as soon as we're done here. I have to go out and mow, which is gonna kind of stink, but it's fine. It's gonna be great. The faster you move, the slower time goes. Blight moves. Yes, I agree, but it's like it has to be relative to something, right? So like, if you're on the equator, time would go slower than if you're on the North Pole, right? Because you're. But I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I don't even remember what the question was. But anyway, I don't know. I don't understand how relativity works anyway. I guess that's true. 2 points on Earth would be moving. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how relativity works, but anyway. Mary, my sister Mary. Howdy, how are you feeling? Mary had surgery. Are you recovered now? Are you currently running a marathon? Mason, howdy. Corey, hello. Who else am I missing? I think I said or implied hi to everybody. Andy, Bite Moose. Slower on the North Pole as it feels freezing cold. Yeah. I just want time to speed up. I want to get past this. So yeah, let's see. Playing the game was fun. Thanks for joining. We could try other games. It's not like there's so many people we couldn't do some of the other games. I have a bunch of Jackbox games, and they're all really fun. Well, most of them are really fun. I think a lot of them have 8 players or so. That would be fine. And then other people can go into the audience. So yeah, I'll start doing that then. I'll maybe next week we'll play a different game. So if you are around 15 minutes before, maybe we'll play a different game. Mary, good. I'm glad to hear you're doing much better. Awesome. Very good. Oh, we had my wife's family was up this past week, and they were camping. It was raining the whole time. I felt bad for them. I went home today, and it's all sunny now. So, let's see. I did put on Patreon. I'm gonna start I'm gonna start blogging again. A lot of people actually wanted me to blog, which is interesting. So start blogging and hopefully doing all the other things too. But I'm still struggling at work, so we'll see how that goes. I'm about finished with. I thought I'd finish today, and I might still finish today with a Google Cloud Digital Leader. Once that's done, and I'm doing the ACE course for Google, whatever it is, I'm hoping that goes a little smoother because, woof, not having anything to demo is rough. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for playing. See you next time. No, what have I still been doing? So, we all know I have ADHD, which means that I get into things really intensely, and then it lasts for a while, and then I get out of it. And I'm still currently in the middle of being really interested in fishing, which was fun because I got to my son-in-law and myself, we got to take our little cousin fishing yesterday, and he did catch a couple fish. They were tiny fish, but it was raining and it was like a long day and timing didn't work, but it was a little under an hour that we had. We took him to a pond here in town. The pond is supposed to be stocked, and it's like only for kids to fish in, but it was disappointing, to be quite honest. There just were not that many fish there, and it was sad. But he did catch a few fish. And they're like this big, but like pumpkin seeds, and then a catfish. Caught a catfish too, which the little ones, you have to be careful with catfish. It's the little ones that really spike you if you're not super careful. So that's always unsettling. But I'm guessing I get comped access to Google to spin up environments. Yes, and Google actually does provide a pretty generous free thing. I think you get like $300 in free credits when you like sign up for Google Cloud. But if I have to spend more than that, I'll get reimbursed. That's the thing. I'll pay for it, but then I'll get reimbursed. And I'm not sure exactly. I think with I haven't looked it up much, but the ACE certification is there's like a lot of stuff to demo, but it's not like huge infrastructures that I'll have to set up. It'll just be like, this is spinning up an instance. And I asked somebody who has taught the course before and has the certification, and there's no like programmatic API interface stuff, which I'm glad, because I'm not a developer, and having to like teach how to write code in order to access Google infrastructure, that'd be a lot to jump right into. I'm sure later courses will have that, so I'll have to like figure out what languages they support, and I'm sure they support most languages, obviously JavaScript, and hopefully Python. That's what I'm hoping. Python is one of the languages that I'll be able to use when it comes to doing the remote API stuff, just because I know enough about Python that I should be able to manage that. But anyway, Logan loves to fish. You might have to take fishing now that oh yeah, that would be fun. The frustrating part about fishing here is I talked about it last week on the live stream too, is finding places from shore to fish is difficult. It's just really tough. Shane, Terraform. So I don't think it's on the ACE exam. There's some stuff about Kubernetes, I guess. Not a ton of stuff about Kubernetes. I don't know. I haven't looked at it at all, but yeah, I don't think the first demo including course is going to be too difficult. And I see that there's a lot of the ACE course stuff on YouTube. Like a lot of other people have already made training for it. So I'm guessing it's not too incredibly complex to demonstrate, because that's one of the reasons a lot of the higher end stuff isn't on YouTube, is that sometimes the complexity of setting things up is just not worth it. It's just so tough. Andy, is Open Tofu replacing Terraform? I've only heard of it. I'll be honest, I don't know. I have heard conversations about that. My friend Catherine Druckman would know the answer right off the top of her head. She's at Intel. She does like the Open at Intel podcast and stuff. She worked at Linux Journal with me when we were both there. She has had lots of conversations about Terraform and Open Tofu, but I don't know the answer. Mary, we have a sweet spot. Oh, see, yeah, you gotta. It's one of those secret fishing spots that nobody really talks about. So Mary, my sister, for those who aren't Mary, Mary lives very near where we grew up. You know, when she was a kid. I mean, I moved to the area when I was in like just 8th grade, I think. And she's very near the house that we grew up in. And so, Mary, the only place that I know about over there where you live is going down at the dam and the Black River Dam near Alverno. That's the place that I used to go fishing, I think, when I was younger. But I have no idea if it's even still there, to be quite honest. But anyway, yeah, there's some. It's weird that I live on the big water here in Petoskey, but the Great Lakes are not exactly a place that is great to shore fish from. They're just huge, right? I mean, they're huge, and there's just not a whole lot of shore fishing spots, which is a bummer. Have I thought about surf casting rods, beach casters? Yeah, I have actually thought about it, but it's there are ways to fish like here in Petoskey. There's a pier that goes out, and off the end of the pier, the water gets pretty deep, and I think it would be possible to get out there, but the fish are just not. I don't know. I don't know of anybody who does well that way. I thought about getting some like heavy spoons, like Castmasters or something, and going off the end of the pier like as far out as I could to see, if I get those heavy spoons down closer to the bottom of the lake. It's like 50, 60 feet in the little bay that I live in, so of water. I mean, it's like that deep out there. So I don't know. We'll see. Mary, fish there too, but it's not a great spot. Yeah, it's not a great spot. As far as I know, sometimes there's perch in the springtime. That's probably already over by now. And then lots of rock bass, and that's about it. Mason, does anyone know of a device I can use to cast my TV that isn't Google and won't steal any info if I put it on my network? So to specifically cast from an Android phone, I mean, I use a Roku. I don't know if they steal info, but I've had good luck with Roku devices. And I have liked Roku because they weren't tied to a specific streaming company. And so, they had the motivation to make everything work. Apart from that, something like an NVIDIA Shield, which I don't have, but I hear that they're really great. And then a lot of them have both the ability to cast and to do AirPlay if you have an iPhone to them. So to cast from any device on my PC to the TV, it's plugged into. Mason, and I'm not sure. I know that Roku has like legitimate, decent working AirPlay, and I think Google Cast as well. Let me look. See if I. Let's see. How could I? I don't know if I can cast anything from. Let's see. YouTube would use like the Google casting technology. So let's see. If I go here. Oh, hold on. That's loud, but okay. Yeah, so Roku again. Yeah, I have Roku devices in my house, and I can cast YouTube to it. That's, you know what though? That's using the YouTube app. That's not using Google Cast or whatever it is. So I don't know. And if you don't like Roku, then I mean, never mind. I've always had Roku devices, and they've always worked really, really well. I don't know if software like Jellyfin or anything, if that supports casting to the software, or if just the hardware like Plex supports it. So I don't know. So I guess no. I guess I'm no help at all. Sorry about that. Build up the swim to start with. The spots that you can load with bait and just cast in the same spot. Yeah, you know what? I don't know if anybody has seen the tiny little bass boats. They make like 8 or 10 foot long bass boats that you can load up in the back of a pickup truck and like 2 people can sit in them, and they have like tiny little trolling motors. I think they would be a ton of fun because there are little lakes around here that you just can't get to different spots, but these little sit on top bass boats would just be pretty cool. Yeah, I'd like one of those. I'll get a link. Oh gosh, no, there was one. I don't know. The one that I don't have a link handy, but it had like pedals to like is like had 2 motors, and they were on either side of the boat underneath, and you use 2 pedals. So 2 pedals down and it would go forward, and then 2 pedals back and it would go backwards, and you could like do one of the, other, and it would actually turn. Kind of drive like a tank in the water, and that looked just super super cool, but it was kind of spendy. But anyway, hello pw. I used to like Linux until I started studying for CompTIA Linux Plus. There's a lot on there is, and because they're 1 exam instead of 2, it and since they're 1 book instead of 2, or since they're 1 exam instead of 2, yeah, it's sizable. It truly is. Radio controlled bait boats. Now that would be interesting. My bobber is the radio controlled boat. Actually, when I was like I said, we took my nephew, or maybe he's a second cousin. Oh, he'd be my nephew, I guess. And then my son-in-law's second cousin. I'm not sure how those relationship things work, but anyway, when we took my nephew down fishing at the kids' pond, there was another family that came there, and they had 2 little radio-controlled boats, and they were pretty cool. I mean, they were polite. They stayed on the other side of the pond, but they looked fun. Just zipping around the water, and they weren't obnoxiously loud or anything, but yeah, they looked fun. Yeah, the CompTIA Linux Plus, it is a lot, but it's fun. I mean, if you go through and learn all the stuff and do the stuff that you're learning, it can be fun. Some of the stuff is frustrating because you very rarely use it, and you have to be familiar with it for the exam. It's the kind of thing where in real life, if you have to do this, you're going to be Googling it, like honestly messing with grub stuff. Nobody or very few people have all the grub stuff memorized, and the subtle differences between distributions on how they handle it and stuff, you're going to Google it, but you kind of have to be familiar during the exam. So that part stinks. But Mary, well, my kids now heard you talk about fishing, so now everyone's packing up their fishing things. Nice. That's awesome. Have fun. Catch some fish for me. The last fish I caught was a tiny little largemouth bass at a pond in Boyne City, Young State Park. There's a tiny little bass pond in there, and that was fun. But anyway, have fun, Mary. Thanks for stopping by. I hope people catch fish. .pw. I literally have commands wallpapered on my walls. Yeah, I believe that. And especially the ones that you don't need for everyday, like real administration, which is super annoying. I know. But yeah, it's cool to know all the stuff though. I remember doing LPIC 2, like when I taught the LPIC 2 course, and I didn't think it was that much more difficult. It was, the only difference was the stuff that you don't do every day, and you don't have to like constantly like know how to do off the top of your head in, every day-to-day work day. That's like, it was all the stuff. So it was like, the LPIC 1, it was like, oh, I mean, some of the stuff I'm not going to use regularly, but a lot of it is stuff that you just, you use enough that you're familiar with it. But I remember LPIC 2 being like, this is stuff that I will never do without Googling because it's kind of obscure. So anyway, Shane, never been fishing myself. My family keeps starting to take me. Closest I get is my chips from the chippy. So I'm not a good fisherman. I'm not a successful fisherman. But I enjoyed. I used to be somebody who would like get a bunch of. When I was younger, I used to go fishing more often, and I would just like get worms or something, and and use bait. I actually prefer to use lures now. It's more fun for me. It feels more sporting, and then you don't have to like buy live bait and worry about them dying or, trying to keep them alive, that sort of a thing. So, Shane, take a book. Yes. So, it's funny that you say that, Bite Moose, because my wife will go fishing with me kind of often. Again, this is just a thing I'm kind of stuck in now, really like fishing. And Donna will come with me. She has no interest in fishing, though. She'll bring a book and a comfortable chair, and she will sit out there and read while I'm fishing. And so it's fun bonding time. She doesn't mind. She enjoys going out in nature, going outside, and then I enjoy fishing, even though I rarely catch anything. But anyway, Bite Moose, do they have fish and chips in the U.S.? Yes and no. It's not called fish and chips here because, chips and French fries, and then you have crisps. What you call crisps, we call chips. But it's we have, deep fried fish and French fries. And sometimes on a menu, they'll even be called fish and chips just because, the world has flattened enough that people know what that means. But then it's funny I say that because I assumed that was the case, and it's been a couple of years now, but we were just at a little Greasy Spoon restaurant, and I ordered fish and chips off the menu, assuming that it was, fish and French fries like we would have, or steak fries, like thicker French fries or whatever. But no, it came out and it was fish, like battered and deep fried fish, and potato chips, like crisps. And I thought that was the weirdest thing, that they would actually serve fish and chips that were literally just potato chips, or crisps. So anyway, Shane, I gotta say, I am into audiobooks as well. In fact, just so I don't forget what we're talking about. So I really, really, really like to, so we get our audiobooks from multiple locations, like Audible, obviously. And I have a video on YouTube on how to strip the DRM off of Audible books, because I like to not have digital rights management on my audiobooks. I like to have them. And then we also go through Libro.fm, because if you buy audiobooks through Libro.fm, it benefits a local store, and my wife works at a bookstore. So I've signed up through the indie bookstore link. And so every time I make a purchase, they get, a cut or whatever. And their stuff doesn't have DRM. But when I started going down this hole is I actually store all of my audiobooks on our Plex server. If you're not familiar with Plex, it's like Jellyfin or MB or whatever, but it's a media streaming thing. The funny thing is, though, I don't ever listen to the books through Plex. I just use their server. Their interface is just terrible for audiobooks. But if you store your audiobooks on Plex and then use, if you're on Apple iOS, a program called Prologue, or if you're on Android, a program called Chronicle, they connect to audiobooks stored in a Plex server and are amazing. It's like your own little Audible, and I love it. So no matter where we get where we purchase the books from, or, we have some really old audiobooks on CD that I've ripped to MP3s or whatever. I'll store them all in my Plex server, so they're all together in one spot and we can listen to them on one app. So anyway, yeah, I'm a big audiobook person too, Shane, all the time. That's I really, really I read all my books almost as an audiobook. That's why I'm wearing these now. I was listening to an audiobook earlier today. So currently listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl. If you haven't heard of Dungeon Crawler Carl, it's by Matt Dinneman, and the audiobooks are great. He's still writing them. Books 1 through 6 have been released, and he's currently writing book 7. It's just fun. It's silliness. But it's well written and fun. So anyway, this part of the program is sponsored by Matt Dinneman, apparently. I had that when I went to the U.S. for holiday. I got a turkey leg and chips. You thought chips and turkey, that ended up being, yeah. Generally, if you see chips here in the U.S., it's going to be what you would consider crisps. But like I said, usually if you're at a restaurant and the menu item says fish and chips, usually it's still French fries, like what we would call French fries, or I don't know if I don't know what I mean. I've never been to Europe at all, but like fish and chips, I think the chips are not like the perfect, like not really skinny French fries that you serve with fish and chips, but like thicker a little bit, which we would call steak fries here. Anyway, I'm not positive, but usually if you see fish and chips on a menu here, it's going to be fish and French fries, but every once in a while they take it literally and it's literally just potato chips on the plate, which is so weird. Crisps are called chips in French. Really? So they're chips in France? Huh. I mean, we don't really have crisps. Don't really mean anything here. That's, I mean, if somebody said I would like some crisps here in the US, I mean, most people would probably know that you meant potato chips, just because, like I said, people are familiar with other countries now, but we don't have a foodstuff called crisps that we would like in general. So anyway, Shane installing Prologue now. Cool. Yeah, it's great. Frites or fries? Yes, palm frites are palm. Palm. I thought palm was apple. I don't know. Frites are fries, I thought, though. I believe. I don't know. Oh, Shane, listening to Expeditionary Force. Oh, I love Expeditionary Force. And if you're not familiar, it's I would say it's complete because it was. I mean, Craig Alanson planned on it being finished. I don't know how many books there are, like 15 or 16 or 17 or something, but he was planning on it being done, but then there was lots of demand for more, and he thought of another 3-story arc, and so there's one book released in the first of the next or the last 3. I think there's 2 left. I think just the first of the 3 more books that he thought of have been written. But yeah, Expeditionary Force is great. He's a funny writer. He's got great dialogue, lovable characters, and the audiobooks are narrated by R.C. Bray, who is just an amazing narrator. So anyway. Okay. See, this is cool that I didn't know. So maybe just like thick French fries, not quite steak fries. Good to know. Okay, palm is apple. Okay, pomme de terre, potato, apple in the air. Oh. So, that's not the one I meant to pop up. So Andy, pommes frites, that's still talking about potato French fries, right? I mean, that's, well, French fries, which it's funny. I guess I realize now I'm saying French fries. That's just what we call them. But apple of the earth, that's fascinating to me. I'm sure I said it before, but we have a French bakery in a town not too far away. It's like a half-hour drive. And the man who is the baker is from France, and I had to figure out how to say cugnaman so that I could ask for a slice of the most amazing pastry ever in the world, without just having to point, because I mean that was a lot of letters together I didn't know how to say. So I was like on YouTube, like, how do you pronounce Koui? Because I had no idea. And so yeah, cugnaman is good. And then I realized that there were 2 varieties, which I didn't even realize until I got there, and I was really afraid I was going to make a fool of myself. Well, I mean, not really. I don't mind making a fool of myself, but so yeah, I had to, when I said, cugnaman, and then I realized that there were 2 kinds. I'm like, pomme, because I wanted the apple one, because of course I wanted the apple one. Anyway, yeah, it was amazing. Oh my gosh, I love that bakery so much. It's so good. And they do, they make crepes too, like savory crepes, and so much butter, but it's amazing. Man, Now I really want some. Shane, yeah, RC Bray does a great voice, and a lot. So I've purchased audiobooks based just on the narrators. Like I have a few narrators that I just love. RC Bray is one of them. Luke Daniels is one that I really, really like as well. And I've purchased entire series just based on the narrators. And yeah, RC Bray does a great job. Bite moose. I don't know any French. My wife Donna took French in high school, but it's the kind of thing where, I mean, when you're in your 40s and you've taken something in high school and you've never used it, it's not like something like, oh yeah, I could carry on a conversation in French. No, I so could not. Andy, your aunt is a translator. See, that's cool. I think that I'm surprised that isn't a job that is more pushed in schools, especially in the Midwest, where because the Midwest accent is, what a lot of people consider easiest to understand or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Of course, now it's probably going to be computers before too long, I would think. Fear the Sky with R.C. Bray was the first I listened to. Why do I know that? Is that a single book? Is that a series? Fear the Sky. Man, that sounds familiar. I don't know. I'm going to have to look. I'm going to make a note so I don't forget. Fear the Sky book series. Looks like Fear the Sky, the Fear Saga by Stephen Moss. All right. I'll have to look that up. 3-book saga. I feel like maybe I've already read it. Stephen Moss sounds familiar. Fear the Sky sounds familiar. I don't know, but I'll look that up afterwards because I always like book series. And I'm on book 6 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. And the next book won't be out until either the end of this year or the beginning of next year. So I'll be out without a book to waste time on. I mean, enlighten my mind with. I would. Oh man, I'm gonna pop this up. Yeah, I would love to be able to speak 2 languages fluently too. And I'll be honest, I would like that language to be Spanish because I'm going to have grandchildren who are bilingual, and it's so hard. And I realize that it's easier for young kids to learn a new language, but I just didn't realize how difficult it is for an adult, like a grown adult, to learn a language. It is so hard. And I think it just takes a couple things that I don't have. One, a willingness to sound well. First, you have to be able to have conversations with people who are fluent, right? You have to have those conversations. You can learn all the words in the world, but unless you have conversations, you just never learn. And you have to be willing to sound silly. But here's the thing. It's not just like, I have no problem appearing foolish. I mean, obviously, y'all know me well enough to know I have no problem feeling foolish. But my problem is I'm afraid I'm going to be inadvertently offensive. And even if I know that's not true, if I'm trying, it's not like people are going to be offended when I get their language wrong. But that's the part that really just makes me hesitant to do it. I don't mind feeling foolish, but I worry I'm going to be offensively foolish or something. Andy, traveled a lot in my 20s with work, never stayed in one place long enough to pick up much. Can order beer in 6 to 7 languages. I mean, that's impressive. That's nothing to shake a stick at. Those are highly transferable skills. So palm meant fruit in general centuries ago. See, I wish I just knew things. Lots of things. This is true. So, and then I don't know how many of y'all are book people, but Shane is correct here. Bobaverse is a very good series, and I think that there's another book. So I read the Bobaverse series when there were 3 books total, and I think there's like maybe book 4 and 5 now, which I have not read, but it's been so long that I have to reread the first 3 in order to like remember enough about them. But yeah, it was a cool concept, and it was a cool book series, and the narrator was good. I don't remember who narrates that. I don't think it's one of the people that I always listen to. I don't think it's Luke Daniels. I can't remember who it is, but it's well narrated too. And Tom Online is my favorite websites now. Yeah. I tried my terrible French in Paris and people seemed happy that I at least tried. And you know what? Yeah. Bite Moose, I think that is always the case. Truly. Like I've said the same thing. Like I said, Spanish is the one that I want to learn. And I know that if I went to Mexico or, hung out with my son-in-law's family, and if I was trying to speak Spanish, I know that it wouldn't come across as offensive. But for some reason, my brain is just like, no, you are going to say something so offensive and they're going to think you're mocking them, which of course they're not. But anyway, I just need to get over myself. And I have heard that watching television shows you're familiar with in another language is a good way to learn. There's somebody who's what's that word for people who are very good at other like polyglot. There was this lady who was interviewed. It might have been a TED Talk, but she was a polyglot, and she said when she's starting a new language, she will watch either Friends or The Office. I don't remember which one was her show in that native language, and because she knows a storyline and she knows the characters and she knows the emotions involved in all the episodes, watching that is a really immersive way to get conversational in the language. So I thought that was interesting. It's hard to find television shows with audio in other languages. I've found it's really, really difficult. Like even on like Amazon, I can't find like DVDs with alternate audio tracks even of those shows. So anyway, Shane, yes, Ray Porter, you're right. That sounds correct. Ray Porter, and he's done some other stuff too. He's another voice actor who's really good. Okay, so yeah, I have not read book 4 even, so I should probably start over and do books 1 through 4 if book 5 is due out in September. Because yeah, Bobaverse is worth reading. It's a lot of fun. Watch caption dramas. Native toddler. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I and my exchange daughter watches. When she watched, especially when she was first in the U.S. here with us, when we watched movies, we would always turn on English subtitles for her. Not Korean subtitles, but English subtitles, because as she was listening, she would miss a lot. But if she could see what was going on too, it was usually enough that, she could understand what was being said, like, wait, did he say? And then if it's on the screen, oh yeah, that's what he said. Okay. Or wait, what was that? Oh, he said that. So she does that. And now it's funny. My wife and I are I think when you get of a certain age, you just prefer to watch movies with subtitles because I don't know, maybe your hearing's going bad or easily distracted or something. But we usually watch stuff with the subtitles on now because we're old and lame. I'm sure there's a load of soap operas in Spanish. That is true. .pw. That is very true. Yeah. The problem is I don't know any of those storylines enough to get into it. But like if I could watch, like I'm trying to think shows that we have watched so many times that I would understand what was going on, even if I missed half the words at first. Like Friends, the show Friends, and I know that's been in every language on the planet. So I'm sure it's possible to get those episodes, with other audio channels. I just don't know how to go about doing that. I can't even find them illegitimately. I'm just not good at finding those things. So, and then The Office, I think, is another one that I would be able to, especially early seasons of The Office, the U.S. version of The Office. I would guess being at the Olympics would be epic for triangulating. Yeah, that's true too. Bite Moose. But the only thing is there's so many languages represented there. I got to think it's like a field day, pun intended, for polyglots, people who speak so many languages. Like, you've probably seen them on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. Like, there's the one very, very white guy who speaks extremely good like Mandarin, and he speaks Cantonese decently well, and his wife is from China, but he's an extremely white dude, and doesn't seem like he would be able to speak other languages, but he speaks a handful of languages. So I would think somebody like that would be a lot of fun to be in somewhere like the Olympics. But yeah. Family Guy would be hilarious in Spanish. I think you're probably right. Yeah. I haven't seen enough of them that I would always know what's going on, but yeah, I bet that would be pretty funny. Samples and tests. Hello. Good to see you. Andy K. So the DVDs and Amazon films, the DVDs, I've tried to, so I've looked really hard, like specifically for Friends DVDs. And on Amazon, I cannot find anywhere where they say they have other audio tracks. And I was shocked. I thought at least they would say Spanish. That's, I think the second most spoken language here in the US. And I was shocked that they didn't have like, the audio tracks of Spanish. So maybe they're just not clearly described on Amazon, but like the actual DVDs would have them. I don't know. Maybe I could just go to Walmart or something too and look and see if they're season packs of DVD. I don't even know if they have season packs of DVDs anymore now that everything is streaming. But yeah, that's one of the things I've always wanted to do, because my plan was, I mean, we watch everything streaming off our Plex or Jellyfin server. But if I had them all on DVD, I could rip the DVDs into, MKV files with all of the audio tracks included. So I could just select whichever ones I wanted. So that was my plan, and I just haven't been able to find them. I mean, I didn't devote half of my summer to looking or anything, but yeah, that's just something I've wanted to do. I'm trying to think what show would probably be best for my wife. Some of them are obscure, some of the shows that we have seen a lot of are pretty obscure, like Mike and Molly, of all things. It's just a show that we've seen a ton of times. I don't even know if they make DVD sets of that, but Lydia. Yes, Lydia. I don't know how soon or how long you've been watching, but yeah, we were talking about languages, and I said that Spanish is the language that I want to learn to be, semi-fluent in, because I'm going to have grandkids that speak Spanish, and Lydia is my daughter, who married a man who's bilingual, and their children will speak Spanish. So yeah, Lydia needs to learn even more than I do, or her kids are going to be talking behind her back. White Moose, Mike and Molly, we really enjoyed it. It's a good show. And the character, I mean, it's the kind of show you don't think about too much, or, it didn't get tons of fanfare, but all the characters are shockingly well portrayed. Even, I mean, Vince, I'm just talking like I'm a Mike and Molly fan club here, but the Vince character is shockingly well done. So yeah, anyway, we like the show Mike and Molly, but I don't even know if that's the kind of thing that has been translated into Spanish. So anyway, but yeah, Lydia totally needs to learn Spanish before they start having children. And it's hard, right? Lydia, am I wrong? It's so difficult because I think the trick is you have to be willing to have conversations when you're not ready to have conversations, and you feel foolish and worry that you're going to be offensive and say the wrong thing. And especially when you're with people who are bilingual, I think it's easier for them to just tell you in English. I mean, if you're with Neil, her husband, and you're trying to talk and can't quite get it in Spanish, she's just going to be like, honey, it's a chair. So anyway, I need to learn grumpy Spanish being a granddad. I mean, look at me. Do I seem like a grumpy grandpa? But yeah, it does feel like it should be part of the shtick anyway. How do you say get off my lawn in Spanish? See, that sounds like I'm being racist, assuming that somebody speaking Spanish is doing yard work. See, look what you've done to me. Of course, I'm kidding, but yeah. So that's why my family really wants to learn Spanish. One, because we want to learn Spanish. It's the language I've wanted to learn for a long time. Donna and I, my wife is Donna, if you don't know, we went to Mexico for our honeymoon. Now, we didn't go on our honeymoon until our 16th wedding anniversary because we couldn't afford it. But when we finally went to on our honeymoon, it was in Mexico. And even the 6 months leading up to that, I'm like, oh, I really want to learn enough Spanish so that, I can, talk to people at the resort and stuff. Nope. I I didn't learn any at all. But everybody that works at a resort speaks English, except for, and this is interesting, the 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 cleaning staff, like, of the rooms, generally they don't speak English. Like, everybody else who's customer facing speaks Spanish if you're at a resort in Mexico, but apparently the housekeeping staff isn't considered customer facing, and they don't often speak English, which is nice. They don't have to speak English to be able to have the job, which is great, and I'm glad. But they're the people that I often want to talk to. Just I like to talk to service people, and so yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation. Maybe watch Linux comps in Spanish. Oh yeah, already know the subject. So Northern Chimp, the last time that I really, 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 really tried to learn some Spanish was when I was the first English speaking presenter for Linux Dominicano. The Dominican Republic has a Linux group, like a lug, and normally their speakers are always Spanish speaking, but they wanted to have an English speaker present in English, trying to stress the importance of people trying to get a job, like in the U.S. remotely, or sponsored to come into the U.S. to work. The importance of speaking English, and so they wanted an English speaker, and I was flattered. But I also wanted to be able to speak some Spanish, at least for introductions and stuff. But I couldn't. I tried so hard. I did like Duolingo for like 6 months, and oh my gosh, it was not good. The I could say that I wanted a hamburguesa pescado de pescado. I wanted a fish burger. That was like the most complicated thing I could say, which had no context whatsoever. It was just rough. So I don't know. Oppenheimer learned German in 6 weeks, if the film is true. German in 6 weeks. I mean, I took 3 or 4 years of German in high school, and I'd be too embarrassed to try to have a conversation with anybody from Germany. In fact, sometimes we have people from Germany in here, and yeah, I don't think Bjorn's here today, but I've never even tried to speak German because, 3 or 4 years in high school still doesn't make me fluent. Was Oppenheimer Swedish or something? It's already a Germanic language. Northern Chimp, maybe so, but I mean, I don't know where English falls into that, but I feel like English and Spanish and German are all similar enough that we're supposed to be able to learn them easier. Like, I feel really super bad for like Sun Young, our exchange daughter, and all the exchange students that we've had live with us and stuff, because like Korean to English is so different, in not just in structure, but in how things are phrased and everything, that I'm amazed by their bilingual ability. So Mustafa, hello, welcome. I see it's already like 10 till, man. Time flies when you're talking about other languages and about fish and chips. That's what we've talked about today, I think. Speaking other languages, fish and chips, and I don't remember what else we were talking about. Not much Linux, oddly enough, but that's all right. Fishing, and we talked about fishing. So yeah, Lydia, I don't know if you're still there, but yeah, we talked about fishing earlier on too. How we got to take your second cousin, I guess, but they're young enough now, they just call you guys aunt and uncle. We got to take him. Neil and I got to take him, and he caught a fish, which I was glad. And I'm sorry, Lydia, I'm sorry that Neil was a few minutes late to the party. But I think it really meant a lot to Calvin that we got to go fishing together. So anyway. Mustafa, so Arabic and English. Yeah, I'm thinking it's the same sort of thing, right? Where when they're not related, it isn't just learning the words, and it isn't even just grammar. It's just like an entirely different way of expressing thoughts, which I mean, I can't even put into words, oddly, what I'm talking about, but like, you don't even say concepts the same way. And so, yeah, I mean, if, people who can speak more than one language at all are just, I'm so super impressed. But people who speak languages with like completely different roots, like That just blows my mind. So Mason, my channel hits 15K subs. Wow, that's awesome. Well, cool. We should, yay. I don't know. Cheers. I guess they're both empty, but that's awesome. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't even realize that we're getting close to 15,000. English is easier to pronounce for Arabic than Romance speakers. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. I people who speak multiple languages, again, just blow my mind. Again, I'm so impressed. I cannot express how impressed I am with people who speak multiple languages, and especially when those languages don't have, the same roots or whatever. And I don't even understand like what that means, like Germanic languages or whatever. I'm not a linguist at all. But I know that languages like, Arabic and Korean and languages in China, they're just so different and so than English and probably than each other too. So anyway, Mustafa, I once troubleshoot an Arabic computer. It was interesting. Oh, samples and testing it. Yeah. So I know we're running out of time, but so our very first exchange student, now we've only had exchange students from Korea. That was just the school that my kids went to. They had a relationship, with in Korea. And so we had like several Korean exchange students over the years. And the very first exchange student we had, she did not speak English well. And normally they're not quite fluent, but they know English well enough that they could, they can communicate, right? She wasn't quite to the point where she should have been to come over, but that's fine. She'd pick it up decently quick when she was here. But I was helping her set up an iPhone. Like she bought a phone while she was here, and she had purchased an iPhone, and she had it connected up to her computer, and she was trying to set it up and like set up an Apple ID here in the US or whatever. But it was all in Korean. And so I had to ask her in English, the only language I speak. And I was like, okay, so what is this saying? And then she would say, insert this or whatever. And I'm like, and she would like try to say what I was, try to figure out what I was saying. And it was a lot of pointing. And anyway, we got through it. And then finally there was a spot where it seemed like it had locked up. It was like Korean words and then like, so like a flashing something or three dots. I don't remember what it was, but it was, basically just sitting there. And after like 5 minutes, I'm like, well, what does it say? And she just looked at it and she looked at me and she said, loading. So it's almost a joke in our house now that, when something's taking a long time, just without updating, we'll just say, it's loading. And she was so like innocent and like she was like, it's just loading. So anyway, yeah, it's so impossible to read. And looking at again, Korean's the one I've most experience seeing. I can't even tell most of the characters apart. It's just fascinating to me. Again, bilingual people are multilingual people are amazing. And you notice the smart menu on the right. Oh, you're talking to samples and tests. I know English is a mix of loads and it's linked to German, Saxon, French, Italian, Gaelic, and who. Yeah, Shane, I just don't know. I'm just not skilled in understanding that. And I spent 6 months in southern China before figuring out half the people were speaking Cantonese, the other half Mandarin. I was very confused. Yes. And again, I don't know these things, but I know that Cantonese and Mandarin are not like, oh, this is almost the same thing. They're drastically different. And so, yeah, that's interesting. Our current exchange daughter, her sister, all of her siblings went to school in the US, so they all can fluently speak English. But she's her older sister, and she's back in Korea now, and she has done a lot of work with Korean and Chinese companies going back and forth in China. So she speaks some Chinese, but I don't know if she speaks Mandarin or Cantonese or a little bit of both. But even for her, it's a challenge. And I didn't know, but apparently there's some unfriendly blood between Korea and Japan. And so when Sun Young would fly back and forth from Korea to the US, she would very often have to stop off in Japan, and they don't care for Koreans, so they don't speak Korean, and she doesn't speak Japanese at all. And so the only common language they had was English, and both of them not native. So she said it was always a challenge in Japan because English was how they had to communicate, and both sides were like trying desperately to translate to English, so they had a common frame of reference, and it was tough. So anyway, dang it, yeah, it's already, time's already up. There's a camera. Oh, let's see, another hour gone. Seamus so quick. Yeah, driving me crazy when I see someone using the computer in any other language. Yeah, it's again, it just impresses me when people can do that. I don't even know, like, I mean, our QWERTY keyboard, I've seen, keyboards with other symbols and characters on it, but there must be keyboards that are like different sizes and stuff too, and I just don't know. Or have we, has the American arrogance once again changed it so that this is the common size, and then you just have to use like function keys to get all the functionality out of it? I don't know the answer to that. It wouldn't surprise me if the QWERTY, the style size keyboard is the standard, and you just have to use a bunch of function keys to get all the other symbols you might need. But anyway, yeah, I guess we're about done. Which means, unfortunately, now several things. One, it means we're about done, which is sad, but there's even more sadness to it, because if you remember when we started, as soon as I'm done here, I have to go outside and mow, and I really don't want to. I really don't want to mow. I'm not kidding. It's so tall because it's rained for weeks, and every day that it's not raining, I have something to do and I can't mow. So anyway, oh, Yashar, I'm sorry. I'm sure I did that horribly. I'm so sorry, and I know I've apologized before. Yeah, we are finishing up now. I apologize for that, but Mustafa, I'll send a pic of my English. Oh yeah, please do. Put it in the public channel, Mustafa. I can't be the only one fascinated by that kind of a thing. So, Northern Chimp, the French Windows keyboard is horrible, even for writing French. Oh, that's so disappointing. That is disappointing. Anyway, hey, thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. I truly appreciated it. And next week I'll do the same thing. Let's do a different Jackbox game next week. So I'll probably start like 15 or 20 minutes before the scheduled time. I'll start streaming just a silly Jackbox game that we can all play. And I'll pick one that it'll probably be like 8 players that can play at the same time. But the nice thing about Jackbox is you can join you can still join once it's full and like participate in the game as the audience. So it's cool. So we'll do that next week. I have to remember to do that. Yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. I realize it's been cutting my head off. Sorry about that. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye. I'm going to be blogging this week. I forgot to talk about all the stuff I was going to talk about. So we'll have to meet again next week. I don't know how to shut it off. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thanks again. It's a 2-step.